to get contact with elemental beings of the earth, it needs first to understand that the earth is first of all consciousness, all embracing consciousness. It is called noosphere, which means a sphere of consciousness. This consciousness I call elementary consciousness of the earth. It is shared by all beings of the earth, visible and invisible, but also with the inner levels of the planet. And of course the atmosphere. The earth is first of all a very complex consciousness. And then in the next phase, this consciousness transforms into information with the help of water. Water is everywhere, like consciousness. It is cycling through the atmosphere, through the earth, and rivers, streams, oceans, everywhere water. Water is able to translate the ideas, the matrix from consciousness into energy, into life, into information. And then in the third phase comes the world of elementary beings that is able to make new form to this information, not yet on the physical level, but on the subtle levels. These forms are being created, of forms of trees, of mountains, of animals, even of human beings. And then in the last phase, these subtle etheric forms are being translated into physical, manifested, touchable forms. So to get a deeper contact to nature and to the earth, it needs to go backward, deeper from the physical manifestation towards those more subtle dimensions of manifestation. Usually the Western tradition speaks of 4 elements that are crucial in this translating of the invisible consciousness information into the visible world. There are tradition speaks about 4 elements, but in effect there are 5. The 4 elements are the air, which means the consciousness, the all-embracing consciousness of the earth, and then water, the vital energies that have their own centers and flows, and then the fire element means constant transformation, dying and being reborn and so on, cycling, constant cycling. And then there is the earth element that means getting form, all kinds of forms. This is, and there is also the 5th element, which we call love of Gaia. Gaia is the ancient Greek name for the earth, and means the earth as consciousness and a loving creator of life upon this planet. To get an experience of these elements, I use the resonance points on my body. For example, for the water element, there are resonance points below the 2 clavicles. You need to rub beyond the clavicles, below the clavicles, and then have a moment of inner listening to feel. And then for the fire element, these are the lobes of the ears. This is the resonant point on our body, or one of them. You rub your lobes for a moment, and then you close your eyes and listen. Have a feeling, inner feeling of this quality. And then about the earth element. The earth element, I use the resonance point on my elbow, like making proper resonance. And then again, listen. And then the air element. The air element has resonance points on our hands. There are two important chakras on the hands, and I used to clap a few times, clap to produce the resonance, and then listen again. So I think this is very good preparation for contacting elemental beings. If you get this resonance, that you get your body in resonance with the four elements. And then there is, as I said, the fifth element, which is in the Western tradition called ether. And in effect, it is, as I said, the love impulse coming from the core of the planet, and it has a resonance on our breastbone. If you do some drumming on the breastbone, you get in resonance. Just listen with this wonderful fifth element, love of Gaia, the earth. And then there is all these, the elements are not abstract. They, in their higher developed phase, they are also beings. The tradition of different cultures has names for these beings, like fairies for the beings of the air, or nymphs for the beings of water, or dwarfs for beings of the earth. They are, of course, not manifested. They are not manifested on the material plane, but they, as I mentioned already, they work just behind the physical plane to translate the ideas of Gaia and information into manifested forms. So they are like standing at the birth of our materialized reality. It would be important to forget about these traditional images of these beings and get some personal experiences. For example, I propose for the beings of the air, the so-called fairies, that you imagine you have wings of a butterfly on your back. The wings of a butterfly are different from bird wings. They are double. Each side has a double form, beautiful. Imagine along the backbone you have these two wings, and you make a little bit movement at your back, and then go into experience. Don't be afraid, don't wait, just jump into the experience, and you will be very happy to feel the beings of the air. And then I have a proposal also for the beings of the water element. It is a fishtail. The best you sit down on a chair and have imagination that you have feet in the water, just till the ankles, a little bit in the water. And then your feet grow in the water into two tails. Maybe some little, you imagine also some little scales at the sides of the body, mainly legs. And then you forget about this imagination. It is just help, that you get in resonance with those beings. You forget, and you feel inside yourself. How does it feel if there is a being of the water element? For the fire element beings, I propose that you go to a compost. Compost is the temple of elemental beings of fire, because there are great transformation processes going on. You go there, you close your eyes, and concentrate on the warmth of your blood, and the flow, the warmth of the blood, let us say in your hand, a few moments, and then listen again, listen inwardly. You are then in resonance with those beings. And I think we have still the beings of the earth element to mention, the so-called dwarves. They are related to the earth element. So the exercise that I use is that you imagine you are a tree having roots in the earth, but each root has at the end an eye. So there is a bunch of eyes on your roots in the earth. And then again, forget the imagination and close your eyes and feel. All these exercises could be repeated. The first time it will not go. Try second time, third time, or try tomorrow again, and then again. You know, it is, we need to come again in communication with those beings and the elements, because the communication was broken after we as human beings became beings of rational consciousness, rational thought, and we totally started to lean on our five senses that are not adapted to feel and to perceive those levels. And then I need to say a few words about the personal elemental being, because like elemental beings represent the loving consciousness, loving hands of the earth, taking care for all kind of forms of life and processes. And we human beings are also part of life. We are alive, we are not dead, we are alive. So there is what we call personal elemental being, who since our birth till the end of our lives takes care within our body, so that we are healthy and happy, full of life. It moves in the fluids of the body. This is very easy, because like fluids in the body, they reach everywhere. All is imbued with water element, let us say, the whole body. So the elemental being is a kind of second self. We need it, and we get it as a gift of the earth for the time of our incarnation upon the earth. And it is not easy to perceive the personal elemental being, because we are almost identical with it. We are like two beings in one body. One is physical, manifest, and the other is subtle, as information moving in our inner water streams. The exercise that I propose is following. You sit down and imagine you hold yourself in your lap. When you are in your lap, you are not bigger than reaching up to the head, let us say. So you are smaller, but it is you sitting in your lap. Have this imagination for a moment, and then imagine that the second self makes feet down to touch the earth, and in that moment release this imagination, and go into feeling, into perception, to get a kind of insight into what your elemental being is. At this point, we can also understand how important it is for human beings to have a contact with the elemental world, because the personal elemental being takes care for our health. And if we are not in tune, if we are not connected, if we are lost in the outer world, then the personal elemental being has so many blockades within the body and cannot perfectly take care for our health and for our well-being. I wish you a good exercising, a good approach and resonance to the elemental world. You will see this is a beautiful world that embraces us from all sides. Thank you. Bye.